Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, the podcast that is passing wisdom to the next generation of athletes, coaches, and parents to transform leaders on and off the court. And I'm your host, Coach Furtado. In this episode of Coach's Corner, our Friday edition of the Bridging Impact Show, I share what's going on in the world of youth sports, what I'm learning as a coach, what I'm hearing from parents and athletes. And so today I got a great topic. I created a YouTube video about this topic specifically for athletes last Monday, especially for basketball players that are trying to make their high school basketball team. So go check that out on YouTube if you are interested in learning more. And before I dive into today's topic, if you or someone you know is a high school athlete, you're not in the LA area, but you want to get some great training, I am launching my first ever basketball and leadership and program starting the Tuesday after Labor Day. So if you want to get in and be a founding member of the app, get a great discount, comment and reach out to me on Coach Furtado IG, or you can email me at coachfurtado@bridgingimpact.org. All right, let's dive into it right now. I want to talk about that just thing, impact. And so what is celebrated on social media, right? It's highlight plays, right? It's scoring, statistics. That is what is celebrated in the media. And if you have been a long time listener for me, you know I talk a lot about the psychology of behavior when it comes to our athletes on our teams, especially as a coach, right? So when we, obviously see certain things on social media, right, they get a lot of likes, a lot of comments, a lot of shares, whatever you want to say, those things are celebrated in our media, right? And as humans, we are tribal people, right? We do things in a herd. We do things to make sure that we feel like we belong in the group. So if we feel like we belong in the group, right, we're going to be able to feel safe. And if we feel safe, right, we'll be able to perform. So long story short, if we feel like we belong in the group because of how we present ourselves on social media, aka scoring 25 points, making a cross, nice move to the rim, all right, dunking on someone, whatever it is, whatever that highlight is, that is going to be your dopamine hit that really helps you kind of get that gratification that you belong. Well, the problem and the issue with that is that games are not won on highlight plays. Games are not won on scoring alone. Because if you score 25 points and allow 30, you lose, right? There are numerous and a multitude of ways that athletes can impact the game. And so for this, I really want to get the message across to the coaches and parents that are listening to really encourage their athletes to make impacts beyond scoring and statistics. I also have another great episode with Dylan Kurt, the author of, he's kind of releasing a new book, Impactology, about how statistics do not tell the whole entire story and how to impact the game beyond them. And you may be saying to yourself while you're listening to ball, stats don't lie, like math doesn't lie. There's no other thing to do besides look at statistics. And I want to push back on that argument and say that statistics are important. And I'm not going to sit here and say that scoring is not important either, because if you don't score, you can't possibly win. Doesn't matter what sport you're playing, soccer, baseball, football, basketball. If you don't score, you don't win. And so when I bring up these points, it's not that I'm saying that scoring doesn't matter. I'm saying that there is more than scoring, more ways to impact the game. And so let's dive into basketball-wise. If you are a person who scores quite a bit of points, but let's say you're having an off game, are you going to pout? Are you going to whine? Or are you going to figure out other ways to contribute and impact the game, right? There's so many ways to impact the basketball game, right? Obviously the simple one, defense, right? If you're a varsity level basketball player, right? If your athlete is a varsity level basketball player or a high school basketball player, they need to know the plays, right? They need to know the plays. If they're out there just running around, right? Don't know the plays, you're not going to impact the game. You got to know the plays, got to make the hustle plays, diving on the floor, taking a charge, doing the little things, high-fiving, encouraging your teammates, right? Being engaged on the bench, right? I think, when I look at a lot of athletes that are trying to make the high school basketball team, whether it's my level for freshman, sophomore, or all the way up to the varsity level, I see, athletes who may not get the most playing time. So if you don't get the most playing time, how are you going to contribute and bring value to a team, right? And when you do get playing time, are you going to just try and chuck up shots and get yours, right? That is not going to lead to success. And if you're not impacting the game, if you come in, you don't play good defense, you take bad shots, then the coach is just going to take you back out, because a coach's job obviously is to win, is to develop athletes and, do whatever is ethically right, right? Like this is the Pat Riley saying, do whatever is ethically right to win. And every coach at every single level wants to do that. So with that, what are you going to contribute? What are you gonna bring? And so I believe I used this quote actually last week on the podcast as well, but I feel like I want to use it again. So what gets celebrated gets repeated. So that was said by Stephen Mackey on the podcast, and obviously he's got a great program that you can go check out as well. So what gets celebrated gets repeated. So if we as coaches and parents are only asking questions, how many points did you score today? Right? How many buckets did you get? Then our athletes that's what they're going to care about. And, obviously within friend circles and athletes, that's what they're going to talk about, right? Like that is what is celebrated in the media. But as a coach, especially this is for coaches, we have such a big influence on what our athletes value. And if our athletes value making sure that, hey, I want to make sure that coach knows for a fact that I contribute to the game in other ways besides scoring, we have to recognize that. We have to recognize that, because if we don't recognize, hey, great pass, right? Great pass, Jack. Great pass, Luke. Great pass. Way to play defense, right? I like that you're talking to your teammates, giving high fives. If you don't give that positive recognition, they don't have that incentive to continue with that behavior. And so that's what's really going to make a difference. And you have to reiterate, you have to do it quite a bit, because unfortunately, obviously social media has such a strong hold on these athletes. And so one of the things is, if we can really build a positive relationship and really show that positive recognition for other aspects of the game that mean something to us as coaches. And for me, right, as a coach, and for the coaches listening, you may value things differently than me, right? When it comes to, right, playing the game of basketball. Like I really value connected teams, right? Connected on the defensive end, connected on the offensive end. That's probably what my teams are going to be known for, just going through in my coaching career, right? My teams play together. I only give them 3 dribble limit, then they have to pass. I want that ball popping and flying around, because I believe that if everyone is touching the basketball, everyone can feel involved. And teams that do better have everyone feeling included and involved. And so that's my personal, way. So like if I am going to reward that, right, I'm going to reward my athletes who are taking great shots, because I still want them to take great shots. If they're open, I want them to shoot the ball. But if they don't have a great shot, right, and they take 2 dribbles in, they kick it out, they find an open teammate, I'm going to celebrate that pass, right? Because that's something that is a part of my offense that I really want to see that's successful. And so, that's a big thing, right, that I think I see challenged with, like, for club basketball players who then come and play a high school season, and then a lot of great athletes who then go in hoop, in college is, you're not. And see, that's the issue I have with club basketball. You don't have 7-10 dribbles in high school and college basketball to go and make a move. Maybe a little bit more in the pros, but you have to be a little bit more efficient with your dribbles. And I get the game is changing, and so I'm kind of putting on the basketball hat now. But so the more you can figure out ways to impact the game while including your teammates and uplifting your teammates' success, the more successful you're going to be. And that's a life skill that's just going to transition or translate way beyond the game. Like when our athletes, when they graduate from high school, they will then end up going to college, or they're going to end up getting a job. And so what are they going to do? In a group project in college, they're going to have to figure out ways to make an impact on that group, or figure out ways in their work to make an impact on their coworkers, on the job. And so it's just so much greater than scoring points. So without further ado, that is the end and the conclusion of the episode. But don't go. And so I really appreciate you all for listening and watching every single week. I really want to make sure that our athletes get the best consistent training that can help them become leaders, well beyond the game. So if you are interested in the online training or you're here in Los Angeles, you want some in-person training, please reach out to me. I'm committed to making an impact on youth. And so I really appreciate your all's dedication to helping athletes get better every single day because it's about creating leaders for the future. All right, make sure you subscribe if you're watching here on YouTube. Subscribe if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you go leave us a review, I will shout you out on the following episode because reviews is what helps our podcast grow. So thank you so much for listening this week. Have a great day, great weekend, great evening, whenever you're listening.